Hey friends, welcome back to the Life of a Makeup Artist podcast. I want to introduce you to an amazing hairstylist that I have met along the way that has become a friend, the David Lopez.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. You look gorgeous,
Thank you.
always.
Honestly, I was like, I'm gonna have David. Like, I need to make sure that I look fire.
But you always look fire. Like, I've never seen you not look fire. So, yeah,
I
exactly.
appreciate that,
She was
but
like,
I had to give a little extra.
Okay,
because I
you
haven't worn a
did.
bright pink lip in a while.
You did.
Okay,
You did.
so David is a hairstylist to the stars, creative director of Glam Seamless Hair. Their work has been in People Magazine, Glamour, Harper's, Elle, New York Times, WWD, Vogue, just to name a few. Okay, that's just the top of the iceberg. But if you don't mind, would you introduce yourself to your new friends?
Yes. So I'm David Lopez. I'm a celebrity hairstylist based in New York City. But as you mentioned, I think, and as you know, very personally, our roles kind of morph into so many other roles, especially for those of us that just love the business of beauty and also love being in front of the camera. But I moved to New York originally in 2003 to go to college and be an actor. Surprise to nobody.
Wow.
Yeah. I was always doing hair. Hair is a part of my family. I'm from Puerto Rico. It's like very much our like love language. And I was doing everyone's hair in the dorm for like $5 to flat iron their hair. Girl, I thought I was rich. I was like, $5 for a flat iron, give it up. So I started doing that. Yeah, a little cash. That was when the Chief flat iron came out. That was a hit in 2003. And then in school, I moved to New York City. I kind of had, a really hard time, I think, acclimating to life outside of a military base. So I grew up on a military base. I grew up in Europe and I had not really acclimated, I think, to living in the United States and also living in New York City, where I was exposed to so many things that were culturally, I had been exposed to a lot. However, with other things, I had not. For example, like seeing gay people out in the street and drag. I was like, oh my God, my brain was cracked open.
Right.
I had a little bit of a mental health crisis. I was diagnosed with a panic disorder when I was 11. And at around 18, 19, I ended up dropping out of school. And, as life would have it, you kind of end up without a home and sleeping on couches. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do hair because I think it will give me an opportunity to do something that I love every single day while I still pursue my other creative endeavors.
Right.
And my mom so graciously co-signed a loan for me. And I ended up, there's so many parts of the story that would be the whole podcast, but I ended up working at a salon called Cutler Salon in New York City. And at the time, especially, it was such a huge salon for celebrity work and it exposed me to the world I'm in now.
So is that how you started working with like Ashley Graham and Hailey Bieber? Because you were acting, you got into the salon, but like, where does that shift happen? Because you don't just start doing celebrities just like that. So how did you get that to that point?
Well, I understand this is 20 years ago.
Right.
So the industry looked very, very different. This is pre-Instagram, pre-social media, pre-YouTube. There was none of this was existing. So I feel like I had a chance to experience our industry in the last bit of it before it turned into what it is now.
Right.
And when I was working at Cutler, Rodney Cutler, who owned the salon, he did a lot of Fashion Week. And I started assisting at Fashion Week. And my first job ever at a Fashion Week in New York City, New York Fashion Week, was just crossing the models' names off the list.
Right.
And even I did terrible job at that. I got yelled at for that.
Come on backstage, producer. What's going on?
I was literally really bad at that. And, I found out that the assistant kind of role that you have to play, as you start assisting people. I knew that at that point, after a year and a half of being at Cutler, 2 years, that it was not for me to be in the salon. I knew I wanted to be an editorial. I wanted to do celebrity. And I remember telling, this is a little bit of tea, but I remember telling Rodney that, and Rodney was the first person that ever said, well, good luck. That's not going to happen for you. Like, you need to stay here or it's not going to happen. And I was like, well, watch me. So I really didn't have much to lose. I had literally been homeless. Like, I was like, what else I'm not scared. I've experienced the worst.
Right.
So I ended up leaving and working a front desk job at Divashan, which is Diva Curl Salon.
Right.
And while I worked the front desk, I would test on the weekends. So testing is when you just reach out like on Model Mayhem.
Right.
Remember Model Mayhem?
Yes.
Model Mayhem, the OG.
Model Mayhem, yep.
You reach out to photographers and I say, hey, I would love to shoot with you for free. We all get images.
Right.
And I got some really great people that I still know to this day who ended up becoming great photographers and really successful ones at that.
Can I ask you though, like you said that you were diagnosed with a panic disorder and now you are living in the most anxiety-driven city and you are dealing with celebrities and their personalities and a rigorous schedule and trying to make your dreams happen. Like, how did you manage that? Like,
you know, I think that as my therapist now tells me, I'm a very determined person. And I think that part of how I manage my anxiety is a sense of control and also a sense of accomplishment. And in a lot of ways, I don't see my mental health diagnoses, I have multiple, as something that hinders me. I actually really think that they have helped me succeed.
Right.
Having obsessive compulsive personality disorder, having a panic disorder, having ADHD, those three things together, I honestly really think they helped me in a lot of ways. It was not that it wasn't hard. I mean, I've had some really dark, heavy moments in my life, but I think growing up with therapy, I was diagnosed when I was 11, that I already kind of had a lot of tools to know that this is dark, but it passes. And I always tell myself the only way out is through. And so I developed a lot of those tools along the way. Not to say, again, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of hard moments. I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes. And sometimes I really, you know, I would take a gamble that would make me lose hard. But sometimes I took a gamble and I won big.
Right.
So.
Like leaving Cutler.
Like leaving Cutler.
Thanks.
Exactly. I mean, I love the Cutler people that are still there. Much love.
I mean, honestly, you have to have love for all the journeys that you've had. Even if it wasn't a good experience, you still learn from it.
Absolutely.
Right? So you never lose, you always learn. So you've been at, different salons, like you're working with Ulta Beauty, which we'll get into in a few. But, your creative work often blends like traditional hairstyling techniques with like innovative and bold approaches. What inspires your creative process and staying ahead of trends in this like fast-paced industry? Because you said, 20 years ago, there wasn't social media. So how have you adapted and like, what do you do to kind of keep on top of things?
I think there's two answers to that. I think that social media will always give you what you give it. So I think it's a very powerful tool that allows me to stay connected to other creatives, to see what they're doing. Not in a way that I want to copy them. It keeps me inspired. Even watching you on social media, girl, she's like, get up and edit the video, get up and film the content, like keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like I see other people doing creative things with hair. I'm like, maybe I'm not going to replicate that hair, but I saw something in their technique that I know I can use in something else. And I can morph it into something else. Now, the other part of the inspiration, I'm big on having a sort of library. So I have collected magazines throughout the years. I'm by no means a hoarder. I had the tendencies, but I have magazines, I have books, I have Pinterest boards. I really look to everything expansive beyond hair. So I'm not just looking at hair magazines. I'm looking at like architecture. I'm going last October, and this is I say this with a lot of privilege. I know this. I do a trip a year where it's like my inspiration trip. I pick somewhere that I know I'm going to go see a lot of museums. I want to be inspired by how people are dressing, and I want to experience things that might inspire me. So last year I went to Paris and Paris, which I've been many times, and then I went to Barcelona, and I went to every museum, and I just took a notebook and my phone and I just took notes and photos. I was like, oh, wow, this would be a really beautiful color story. This would be a really beautiful shape of a haircut. Oh, I wonder that technique and how they're looming this or how they're weaving this. Could I use it for hair? So I think it's like staying curious about all forms of art outside of your own personal medium.
I love that. Go outside.
Yeah, literally go outside and live.
Grass.
Yeah, literally touch grass.
Okay, so I saw on your Instagram that you were a military kid, like you mentioned, and you were bullied a lot growing up. And, sometimes a lot of that stays with you throughout adulthood, like, even with therapy and things like that. And your journey as a gender fluid hairstylist is inspiring to a lot of people. Could you tell us more about how you navigate the beauty industry and express your identity authentically?
Yeah, it's been a tough one. I would say that a big part of how I have my success is that I learned early on as a mixed race person from the Caribbean that learning how to code switch was very important. It provided me access into spaces and made people listen to me that otherwise would not have listened to me. So I created what I call his character, David Lopez hair. Because if you look at my Instagram and you look at videos from me like pre-2018, it's a different person.
Yeah.
He's wearing button-ups. He's like, his hair's straight, bow ties. I mean, I was like the straightest, most like palatable Latino hairdresser that you could ever imagine. I started to kind of break that down a little bit before COVID happened. And I was doing the wigs and I started a blog that was all about like men's grooming. That was like my first foray into it. I was kind of hiding it. I will tell you, one of the most impactful things that has ever happened to me, and I think for a lot of us, was experiencing the Black Lives Matter movement in the way that we were able to experience it during COVID, because we were all so insular and that was all that we were kind of experiencing collectively, I think, especially for a lot of people, for a lot of Black and brown people. And I realized during that how much I had kind of erased anything that was even remotely Black about me.
Right.
And my dad is half Black. His dad is from Trinidad. And
what?
I know.
You never told me that.
I know. Well, I just found out. So I mean, not recently. So
You're my cousin.
Yeah. So I kind of was like, wait a minute, you have been like literally trying to be the most straight, whitest person version of yourself as ever. That's when I started wearing my hair curly. I mean, these curls that you see now, this was like a result of like breaking down all the structures I had created to not only protect myself, but to help me move about certain spaces. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Right.
At the same time, the intersection of my gender fluidity kind of also started coming out, because as I started breaking that down, I was like, well, bitch, I want to put on a wig. Right. I want to put on lashes. Right. I want to feel just as beautiful as I see cisgendered women feel. When I mean, the transformational power that I would see growing up, my mom and my aunts and my sister, girl, the way you feel when you put on that makeup and you have the hair, I'm like, I want to feel that. Right. The day that I have that hair, the lace front and the lashes go on, it's just like,
and
this
your
is the
wig
fantasy.
collection is
the wig collection is like a purse collection. It is. You have to come over and see it, because it's
I need to.
It's a lot. But I think that it took a lot of community around me. It took a lot of support. Right. I think that it was also an involvement of therapy, but I also know that I had the courage and the audacity to be myself. And I think we need people to have the audacity and the conviction to just live authentically.
Yeah. And I think when you also do that, you just don't know who you're inspiring. You never know who's watching you, who's going through anything. And it's like, if you show up authentically, you could be helping so many people. Yeah.
And that was an unintended part of it. But I will tell you, I'm very connected to my inner child. I will tell you that when I started doing the content and releasing it, first of all, I look at it like my makeup 3 years ago. I was like, girl, what are you doing? My makeup is so much better now. But one, number two, I'm like, I always did this for the 7-year-old me, the 8-year-old me, the 9-year-old me who wrote in his diary, this world is too hard for me. I don't want to be here anymore. At 9. Right. I wrote this for the 11-year-old who would have loved to put on a skirt, and they would have loved to put on like eyeshadow. Like I did it all for him. And then I realized it was so much bigger than me. I have people all the time in the most random places come up to me and say, thank you for making me feel like I can be myself. Right. Because I realize that when I give myself agency to express myself, as big as it is, sometimes it gives another person the agency to say, I want to paint my nails. Sometimes I have these like cisgender bros that are like, because of you, I paint my nails. I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Right. And then I also have, moms who say like, oh, my child doesn't see anyone that, looks like them or expresses themselves like you do. And like, thank you for that. I have like other gay men who are like, I'm breaking down my internalized misogyny. And like, I'm not afraid to be feminine anymore. Like I'm okay with like being feminine. Like the expansiveness of our humanity, I think that is important for all of us to explore and just let it exist. It's scary, but I think it's important for all of us. And you do such a great job at that, of that as well. It's like, I think that's why we need I hate the word creators, but people like us that are having these kinds of conversations, even like just you doing what you do is helping someone. Somewhere there's a little kid who's watching you like, I want to do that. There's something else beyond what the life path I think is mine,
Right. Well, we all know that representation is important in all facets of life and in the industry. And you hold quite a few roles. And I think it's super inspiring because people who might be hairstylists or in the salon, they might sometimes feel stuck. Do you mind sharing briefly some of the roles that you hold? Because we are now on the Ulta Beauty Pro team together, but you do quite a few different things. So kind of give us a bit of breakdown of some of the roles that you hold.
I would say that right now, currently, I am a creative strategist. So I have realized that this is actually a role. It's an actual job called creative strategy. And I didn't realize that's what I was doing until my boyfriend, who is a consultant who does strategy consulting, he was like, you are literally a strategy person.
Right.
You really come in with the lens of a hairstylist and a creative who sees a full, this is where my ADHD comes in, who sees the full 360 picture of how everything connects together. However, all of my strategy is centered around making sure the person who's creating has everything they need to create as purely as possible.
Right.
So, for example, at Ulta, I've been on the team now for 5 years, and ultimately, I joined the team 5 years ago as a person that came from the editorial world. As you know, all the other hairstylists, except for Vernon Francois, who's newer to the team, they all came from manufacturer. So they all had been like the professional hairstylists that did the whole circuit. I came in with my little Vogue covers and my celebrity. I was like, the Naha who? Premiere who? I didn't know anything about that. So I came on to support the marketing shoots. So everything you see in the store, I would style the hair for it. Eventually, it turned into helping with the casting, giving my input on wardrobe, giving my input on makeup, giving my input on the merchandising team asking, hey, we want this blow dryer to be held by someone in the store. And to no fault to anyone, someone might suggest a model that didn't have the hair type for that. And I'm like, as the only brown person here, maybe she should be holding the dryer, things like that. And then that just evolved into other things, especially being a social media. I consider myself to be very much like driven by social media. I'm obsessed and I'm very fascinated by the business of social media, especially beauty. And I was able to now also work with brands. For example, for Color Wow, I will help build out content grids. So it's like, what's the hook? This is the video. This is what we're going to film. I'm not even in it. It's just like supporting people in their kind of branding and execution journey outside of just doing hair.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hey friends, I hope you are enjoying this episode. If you have not yet signed up for our backstage crew, go to the show notes or in the link in our bio in all of our social platforms to make sure that you're not missing our secret episodes and all of the exclusive access that you're going to get from being part of our crew. Now, I don't want to hold you up for too long, so let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So collaboration is definitely a significant part of your work. Like you said, you're working with hairstylists, makeup artists, photographers. Now, how do you approach that collaboration? Like, what do you think makes a successful creative partnership? Because sometimes, especially brands, if they're stuck in their ways or they've done something for the last 50 years, we've been doing it this way, and now you come and you're flipping your wig and you're like, listen, this is what we're going to do today. And they're like, well, so how do you, what do you?
This is no shade to brand. I know brands watch this, but like, I feel like there are people who are put into positions at these companies that manage social media that I'm like, you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
I get a brand brief that is like, who made this? Like, no shade. Like, actually, all the shade. I'm like,
yeah. I'm like, do we not hire art directors anymore? Because
no, we don't. That is the first job that has got. There's no art directors, no creative directors. They're like, no, we're gonna have the merch team and this team. They're handle creative. I'm like, no. You need someone who is like really
find the budget because you need it. Then you know what happens? You end up having to scrap the whole shoot.
You scrap the shoot. You reshoot it.
I have so many brand friends that have told me they've had to scrap entire shoots.
Yeah,
because it just.
Here's what I will say. One thing I learned, I'm a very observant person. I'm a very curious person. And I am a student of life in every capacity and every facet. When I was just doing hair and I would be on a shoot with Target, for example, we would shoot the in-store. So I saw the value of art directors and creative directors. What I also saw was the amount of preparation and work it took to create the visuals that they did. And they're so successful at it. So they would literally have a binder that was like, this is the hair. Here's 20 examples of what the hair should look like.
Right.
This is the lighting. These are the acceptable poses for the models. Here is what the clothes should be. These are the I was like, oh, go off. If I know all of this, then I can fly, right? So because I was so curious about that and I started working with brands, I was like, where's your like brand? Where's your like your pillars of your creative? What are your, I know you have your fonts, but what about like how you produce images? I think T3 is also a brand that's very successful at that. I worked with them. I did work with them for a long time. They had a very strong visual presence and they were very buttoned up about how they presented themselves. It was very clear.
Right.
Now, as a content creator, as someone that gets paid to create content on social media, I think it's important to, one, earn the right with the brand, not be afraid to push back, and that when you do push back, have the receipt.
Right.
Don't just say, oh, I don't like that. Just say, you know, I love this idea.
Right.
I don't know that it really aligns with my personal point of view. How about this?
Right. So you come with, I mean, everybody knows you don't come with problems, you come with solutions.
Yes, but a lot of people just come with problems.
Exactly. So as a creative director of Glam Seamless Hair, like what are some key insights you've gained about the hair extension industry? Because, and like, we've seen a lot of hair extensions, some good, some bad. What advice would you give to those that are considering using hair extensions or even maybe adding some hair extensions into their kit? Because there are a lot of makeup artists that do hair.
Yes, there are a lot of makeup artists that do hair. I do think that clip-in hair extensions are something that I have relied on forever and I will forever. On everyone from like Hailey Bieber, for example, it was always just like one clip-in track just to kind of fill it in a little bit. I did my own collection with Glam Seamless, which is based off of that. It's literally 4 pieces just to make your hair a little bit fuller.
Right.
I also have to remind people that you do get what you pay for. Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of things, and hair extensions, you get what you pay for.
Right.
You can go to Amazon, you can go search, but good luck at the consistency of what you are getting.
Right.
Where a bigger brand, for example, like Glam Seamless, that has the kind of the resources to do a little bit more of the making sure that the product is consistently good. I think you'll get that. And I think if you are looking to build out your kit, start with highlighted shades. Very important because it'll blend a lot easier.
So you recommend, what are some brands that you love to use?
For hair extensions?
Yeah, Glam Seamless.
Well, Glam Seamless, obviously. For wigs, I have, I'm like, I don't want to gatekeep, but I'm
like
kind of gatekeeping. I don't want to gatekeep, but I will tell you this. I had worked on a wig collection for 3 years and we ended up scrapping it. It might still happen. I learned a lot about the production of wigs.
Right.
And I will say one of my friends who makes wigs, What Wigs, Noah, is very talented. His wigs are literally everywhere, like Kim Kardashian, like literally everyone. They're expensive, like $2,000. But if you can find the manufacturer, if you can find manufacturers who are making high quality wigs, they're going to cost around $600. But I will say other brands that I have used in the past that I really loved were, their name is slipping my mind. They are Beauty Works. They're a UK-based brand. The extensions are gorgeous. The colors are insane.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's why I also love Glam Seamless, because you got like 70 colors, something crazy. Like
really?
You have literally any color you can imagine. It's their highlighted, balayaged, red, blondes, like everything. True and pure texture.
Okay. Oh, that's from Pakela. I've purchased from her before. I
think that True and Pure, which is Pakila Riley, a friend of ours, has really mastered the art of tighter texture extensions, curly and coily.
Yeah.
They color beautifully, they highlight beautifully, and the textures are the most realistic, I think, to like my hair type and tighter. So I love True and Pure too. They're all in my kit. I actually
also use this brand called Ghostly Hair.
I haven't seen them in person.
It is literally the exact texture of my hair.
Really?
I'm gonna insert the pictures here, but I'll show you after.
Okay, I need to see.
It's incredible. I'm in love.
Yeah, I need to
I'm
see.
in love. And they're like an Atlanta base.
We love that.
So what are some health tips that you always recommend to your clients? Because I'm sure you've seen hair that's fried, dyed, and
blow dried
to the side, So
remember that commercial?
I think it was.
My hair's been fried, dyed, and blow dried. It's been through years of wear and tear. Ooh, girl, what happened to your hair?
I don't remember. Really? Well,
Yeah.
I remember the fried dried. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, we're showing our age.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
it's all right. It's all
Yeah.
right. So what are some tips that you will, because you've seen people like damage their hair a lot.
Yeah.
But like, what are some tips that anyone, regardless of their texture, can take from this episode today and like, okay, this is what I need to stop doing with my hair.
I think
Or I should be.
understand what the limitations of your hair is. Hair is a fabric, and some hair is more delicate than others. So when I say that some fabrics are more delicate, they have different care instructions.
Right.
You don't throw silk into the washing machine and the dryer on hot.
Right.
If your hair is like made like silk, and I want to say that doesn't mean it's straight. There is like type 4 hair that is very delicate,
Right.
and it cannot handle the amount of heat that it gets put under.
Right.
So being aware of that. At the same time, understand a couple of basics. When your hair is wet, it's the most elastic, okay? Meaning that it has the propensity to stretch a little bit more. However, that can lead to breakage,
Right.
okay? So how you get to your detangling, I always say start at the ends, work it to the roots. Provide some sort of lubrication, some conditioner or something. Just don't try to like go at it. I see a lot of this.
Right.
It's a lot of this happening. I'm like,
Right.
oh, why are you so aggressive
Right.
with this beautiful fabric that's on your head? Like,
Right.
be a little more gentle.
Right.
And then I think for heat, listen, we've come such a long way with heat protectants, like an insane amount of everything.
There's so many of them.
So many. I also think bond building, while I do think the trend of bond building got a little bit like overdone,
Right.
I do think for curly and tighter textures, I'm realizing the benefit to it. I just tried the Not Your Mother's Curl Talk Bond Building Shampoo and Conditioner.
Oh, really?
My hair felt...
I never tried them, but I know about the brand.
I love their mousse, their foam for my hair, obsessed, and the gel. I just tried the Bond Building Shampoo and Conditioner. When I put that conditioner in my hair, and I have pretty low porosity hair, my hair felt like instantly silk. Like you want to feel that like
Right.
instantly. So the concept of bond building is that you're helping to, especially with curly hair, fill in anything that may be happening, any of those breakage points.
Right.
Think about your hair under a microscope. It's going to
Right.
look like a pine cone.
Right.
So think about a pine cone when it falls off a tree. It's dry. It's all like
Right. Right.
you see it on the ground.
Yeah.
And healthy hair, quote unquote, the scales of the pine cone are closed and it's
Right.
like smooth and shiny.
Right. So you're looking at brands like maybe like Olaplex and K18 and
Yeah,
Like
I
that?
think just understand that if you don't really bleach your hair and your hair is like wavy, you don't need Olaplex. I'm sorry.
Right,
Don't
right.
come for me. Like you don't need it, you
Right.
know? However, if you're someone that's heat styling a lot and you bleach your hair, you highlight your hair, by all means, like go for the
Right.
bond building. But your hair needs two things, protein and moisture.
Okay. I love that.
Yeah.
We're taking notes. So
Get your notebook ready.
the last couple of years, your life has, changed. And you've stepped away from doing as many, celebrity clients, editorials. Like you still make time when you can, honey. But, there's been a shift. Can you share more about that? And I think also come into terms with a career that looks different than what you initially strived for.
Yeah. I think you and I talked about this once.
We did.
I think it was like nylon. There was like a piece that was written about me. It might have been nylon or I can't remember which one, but it was in like the byline. It was like, not the byline. It was like in the sub line. And it said like, oh, something to the effect of why David Lopez like stepped away. And I was like, I stepped away? And I'm with the Wall Group, mind
Right.
you. And like the Wall Group represents like people who do like big celebrities. And like I have done and I still do every now and then. I think for me, part of my journey when we were in 2020 was understanding what is my purpose beyond what I'm doing. And that was hard for me, I think, because I had to do a lot of work on my ego. And I realized that working on celebrity at that point was really feeding my ego, but not doing anything else. And I was like, I have to be okay with, you know what? I did that. I have my Vogue covers.
Right.
I have my Met Galas. I did the fashion weeks all over the world. I have traveled literally all over the world with people like Chrissy Teigen. I have a video on my phone from John Legend singing Happy Birthday.
Right.
I've done all the cool things that fed my ego, but my ego doesn't need those things anymore.
Right.
What my soul and my mind and my heart needs is to make people feel seen.
Right.
And that was stronger than I think me wanting to continue this rat race of like the next celebrity, the next celebrity, the next celebrity. And quite frankly, I didn't want to chase around 21-year-olds blowing out their hair for them to go to dinner anymore. You know, I was kind of like, I said it. I was like, you know, that's cute, but
but can you do this for the rest of your life?
I'm almost 40.
Yeah.
Like, I have other things that I feel like are a bigger value add to the community.
Right.
Versus the interpersonal interactions I was having with my clients who I love and adore. Like Ashley is a friend of mine. I adore her. Right. If I see any of my clients out, I love them and they still support me and vice versa. And I'm so lucky I developed that kind of relationship with them. But I was like, it's not for nothing. It's not that I was like, oh, I'm too good for this now. I was like, no, like my soul is like, and my heart and my brain and my creativity want people to feel seen.
Right.
And that means I have to move into spaces that help me to make bigger impact and bigger changes to make people understand that what I did on Ashley Graham and what I did on Chrissy Teigen took a lot of work and it takes a lot of effort.
Right.
And no one should feel that they have to look like that every day.
Right. But also like, how can I say this? Like, you know, the industry is very interesting because you will always feel like you need to be, like you said, chasing that next thing. Yeah. Did you feel at any point in time very isolated? Because there is a kind of thing where it's just like, oh, you're doing social media now. You're posting yourself now. Yeah. Because I felt that.
Yeah. You still feel it now.
And it's just like, because I don't do as many editorials or, you know, the things that we used to do, right? And it's just like, life is short and you should do what makes you happy. But the industry sometimes is like, oh, cute.
Yeah. I think when we say the industry, I think it's like our colleagues.
Yeah.
I think that other people have caught on to the value add of people like us. But I would, again, I've been around since the inception of Instagram. And I remember being on set. I was shooting, of all things, a Talbots campaign. If anyone remembers Talbots.
Is it shoes?
Talbots is like a clothing brand for like mature, sophisticated, fashionable women. 50 and above, 40 and above, 30 and above. I don't know, but let's put it that way.
Right.
A lot of chiffon and taffeta. And Ashley Graham, I remember I did her hair. I did Ashley's hair for one of these, and we were shooting campaign. And I remember it was when the iPhones first had cameras. Oh God. And I was like shooting up what I called behind the
scenes.
It was kind of from the set series. And so I had a YouTube channel and I was filming the videos like 360p. And it was like from the set series, how I do the hair. I remember the makeup artist who I'm friends with to this day. I will not say her name. And she was like, what are you doing? And she was like a more seasoned makeup artist, like very, like does like A-listers.
Right.
And she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm filming content, like me alone. And she was like, this is so dumb. Like, I can't believe people feel like they have to do this now. And I was one of the first people I ever saw that brought my camera to set.
Right.
I brought my phone to set. I brought lighting to set. I was like in here 15 years ago, 11 years ago, 10 years ago, like I'm doing this.
Right.
And I had to let go of that really early on, but I will tell you it's very isolating. I say this a lot to like my manager. I say this to my agent and my publicist. I'm like, I feel so lonely sometimes. Like I just feel very like, it's a lonely thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, because you kind of step away a little bit from doing the community things that your community's doing. Like, oh, you see each other always at the Mark Hotel. You see each other at the regular circuit in Milan and Paris. And then all they see you do is on social media. And they're like, oh, you know, all they're doing is social media. I'm like, yeah, but I got paid 5 times more for that video than I did for doing the blowout in Milan. And you know what I mean? And like, I just feel like it's not even about the money. I've never been a money chaser, but it's more about like what is feeding my conscience and my overall, I think, life goal. That's kind of where it landed for me.
I think it's just honestly, do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Like nobody else should dictate how you live your life to fit into any box.
Can I say this though? I will say this to a lot of hair and makeup people. I think a lot of people watching this might be watching this because they want to perhaps have a career similar to yours or like mine. But I also want to make sure that people understand that you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
You can be very happy doing hair and doing makeup and not having to worry about posting your work. There are people who are doing hair and makeup who are very successful, make a lot of money, and they barely post on Instagram.
Yeah.
So
true.
don't feel the pressure to do it because listen, if we could all be J-Lo, we'd all have J-Los, but we're not built for that.
Right.
And then I think when people get into it, they're like, it's not happening for me. I'm like, because you're not J-Lo.
Right.
You have to have that thing. You have to be dedicated to you have to fight for it.
Right.
You don't just step into it and get the fancy camera and do the lighting and then all of a sudden you're a star.
Right.
You have to have something that people are like, oh, I want to watch that.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Looking ahead, what are some of your goals, both professionally and personally? I know I feel like you've done a lot. You've had covers, celebrities, contracts. What is David? I mean, and that's the goal for a lot of artists. So like, what has David not done yet?
David is currently, I think, in a place of curiosity and education because I know I will launch a brand. I think that is inevitable for me. I think that when I thought about doing a brand many years ago, I think the intention was not right. The reason I want to build a brand is because I want to provide a localized place for people to feel seen and feel included in a space that has felt exclusionary.
Right.
And I think that beauty does a great job of being inclusive and building things for certain groups. But there's a place for all of them to be together. And from a marketing perspective and a business perspective, yes, you want to have your audience. Who is your person that is purchasing your product? But what if there was a world where you had a brand that your mom used and her daughter used and her best friend used and her dad used, like anyone would want to use? What that looks like is still TBD, top secret. But I really love the idea of building a brand that then can morph into community building. I have this lovely vision in my brain of being able to have a space and a sort of platform that is in person that enables people to come and learn how to play again. So I would love to also host workshops on like people who forgot what it is to just play. And I don't think that you have to be creative for that.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of skill sets I have, like even doing improv, doing acting, anything creative and explorative that has lended itself into my everyday life. I think people just get so bogged down by the reality of being a human, and it's like, play.
Right, have more fun.
Like let your brain like explore and like bring that into your everyday life and like because I feel like when you do that, you kind of start tapping into this greater sense of there's something bigger than you and there's something that's more for you. And when you live your life through that lens, when you feel good, authentically feel good, you then want other people to, you want other people to feel that way. It's why you do what you do. It's why I do what I do.
Right.
I want other people to feel this way.
Yeah.
I want people to feel great.
Yeah, likewise. So what about personally though? Are you like, what do you do? Are you joining a swimming class? Are you traveling? I mean, you're always travel. So
I am always
what
traveling.
else? What else?
I love music.
Oh, you dropping a track for us?
I will. Actually, it's so funny you say that. Yeah, I probably will. I have always wanted to do it. I think, again, when I was in my 20s, I had the wrong intention for it. I was like, oh, this is going to be like my career. Where now music is like a hobby. It's been a quiet hobby for over a decade. I do. I love to sing. I always did choir growing up.
A little something.
Oh my God.
Just a little. Okay, I'll sing with you. What should we sing?
What should we sing? You know what I always sing? This is so corny. I always sing a lot of country music, which is so funny because today is the day that B dropped her country album.
But I don't know any country songs.
I can sing you a country song.
Okay. This is so embarrassing. Do you want me to do it first?
Yeah, okay, all right.
Okay, go.
You're gonna go first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna sing the SWV week.
Okay.
I'm gonna cut this part of the episode. Okay. I don't know what it is that you've done to me, but it's caused me to act in such a crazy way. Whatever it is that you do when you do what you're doing, it's a feeling that I don't want to stay. Cause my heart starts beating triple. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna sing a country song.
Okay.
The Puerto Ricans are singing a country song. Okay. This is Tim McGraw's Just to See You Smile. If you follow me on Instagram, I sing this all the time on Instagram Live. People always like think it's so funny. Okay. You always had an eye for things that glittered, but I was far from being made of gold. I don't know how, but I saved up the money. I just never could quite tell you no. Just like when you were leaving Amarillo, taking that new job in Tennessee. And I quit mine so we could be together. I can't forget the way you looked at me. Just to see you smile, I'd do anything that you wanted me to. When all is said and done, I'd never count the cost. It's worth all that's lost just to see you smile.
Yeah! Okay, I'm definitely cutting mine out.
Stop it. Oh my God.
That was amazing. Yes. Oh my God. I'm not embarrassing myself on my own podcast. But listen, David, this was such a great episode. But we have one more thing to do before you go.
Okay.
Because you said you want people to explore more and have fun. So do you want to have some fun?
I would love.
Okay, so we're going to play a game.
Okay.
It's called Beauty Card Revoked.
Oh. I'm sweating already.
So for Beauty Card Revoked, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You have to get at least 3 correct in order to keep your beauty card. Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. In the 80s, this hairstyle was considered business in the front and party in the back.
A mullet.
Oh, I didn't even have to give you options. Yes.
Oh.
Okay.
There's options.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Even better.
Yes. Okay, great. You got the first one. All right. Why did men decide to grow out their hair in the 70s into the 80s? Was it A, to honor their parents, B, it's just what was in, or C, to protest the Vietnam War?
It was C, to protest the Vietnam War.
Okay, look at you knowing your history.
Yes.
Okay, so this one is a tricky one because you're very well versed in hair extensions. Miss Valeria Zimmer, founder of the first mail order extensions company in America, did this in what year? Was it 1891? Was it B, 1859? Or was it C, 1902? Which year did the first ever mail-in-order hair extension company start?
I didn't even know they had mail-in hair extension orders in the 1800s. So I'm gonna say 1902.
That is incorrect. The answer is 1891 is when it started.
I need to look up this. I need to know more about this.
Yes.
Where was the hair coming from? What was she doing with it?
Yeah, she was a pioneer, okay?
Okay.
So next question. You have to get at least one more right, just so you know.
Okay.
What is the lifespan of a single strand of hair? Is it A, 10 years, B, 5 years, or C, 3 years?
What was the first one again?
10 years, 5 years, or 3 years?
3 years.
That is incorrect.
No, stop it. I'm a hairstylist.
It is 5 years. It's okay. We still love you. You have one more. And I think you get this one. So you could maybe you'll keep your beauty card.
I hope so.
Okay, so this one is true or false. These brands aren't Ulta Beauty. Is this true or false? The brands are Topic, Pattern Beauty, Miel, and TGIN.
Those are all at Ulta Beauty. Yes.
Yes. Keep your beauty card.
Oh yeah. Okay. When I tell you I have shopped every corner of Ulta Beauty in the last 5 years, I could tell you, I could list.
When you come back on the podcast, I'll make it more difficult.
Oh, my God. I kept my beauty card.
Yes, you can keep your beauty card. You are officially part of our beauty card. Know your shit, gang. But David, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate you. I'm so excited for your music, for your brand, just for all the things that you have going on. Do you mind sharing with your new friends how to find you on social and all the places?
Yes. So on social media, I'm at David Lopez with 3 Z's, as well as TikTok. My website is David Lopez Beauty, which is relaunching very soon.
Ooh.
I actually am working with the people who did your website. Golden Launch Creative.
Yes.
Huge shout out. I was so inspired by your website. No, I'm deeply obsessed.
Oh.
That's why I had to find out. I saw her website. I was like, what? I was like,
we're at another level.
I was doing it myself because I actually like doing this, but it's taking me like a year.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is too much. And I saw yours, and then I reached out to Golden Launch Creative.
Yeah.
Kia, and I was like, hey, I would love to like work together, and yeah, we're redesigning my website together. So shout out to this one. Shout out to Kia.
Own business.
Yeah.
So if you are looking, I'll put it in the show notes if you need a website built. But thank you so much, David.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't believe I made you sing.
I sang for y'all. It doesn't